It was supposed to be a private photo. Just a harmless late-night snap I took after gym. Shirt clinging to sweat. Smirk half-formed because I thought I looked good for once. And then like some cruel cosmic joke I tapped the wrong name. Instead of sending it to my best friend, it went straight to Ethan Clark, the high-profile lawyer who had once grilled me in a community meeting like I was a criminal. Nice photo, sweetheart. His reply came within 2 minutes. When did we start dating? My blood turned to ice. This was the man who argued in court like his voice could split glass, whose confidence could silence an entire room. And now he had my half-naked selfie. I wanted to vanish, delete myself from existence. Instead, my trembling thumbs typed, "Wrong person. Please delete it." But Ethan being Ethan, he didn't let it go. Too late. Already set it as your contact picture. God, I hated him. Or maybe I hated how my pulse raced when his name lit up my screen again. I lived in a small apartment above a diner in downtown Chicago. Walls thin enough to hear the neighbor's dog bark through the night. My life was simple, predictable, and let's be honest, kind of pathetic. I worked at an art supply store, drew when inspiration hit, and tried not to think about how alone I really was. Ethan, on the other hand, was the opposite of everything I was. He walked into any space like he owned it. His tailored suits and quick wit a constant reminder that some people were just born dazzling. He was older, polished, and untouchable. Or at least, that's what I thought. Because ever since that photo incident, he hadn't stopped messaging me. Little jokes. Teasing comments. "Good night, boyfriend. Don't cheat on me. Okay." He was relentless. And maybe, against all better judgment, I didn't hate it as much as I told myself I did. The first time we actually saw each other again was pure accident. I was sketching at a cafe, headphones in, lost in lines and shading, when someone's shadow fell across my notebook. I looked up, and there he was, Ethan Clark in a navy suit, tie loose, smile curved like he owned the moment. "Drawing me?" he asked smoothly, like he already knew the answer. I slammed the sketchbook shut. "No." He chuckled, sliding into the chair across from me without asking. "Relax. I'm just here for coffee. Unless you want me to stay." "I don't." I lied instantly. "Good. Then I'll definitely stay." God, he was infuriating. And yet, when his knee brushed mine under the table, my whole body went rigid, not from anger, but from a warmth I couldn't control. I told myself it was nothing. Just teasing. Just Ethan being Ethan. But the truth was more dangerous. The truth was, late at night when I couldn't sleep, I found myself scrolling through his messages again, smiling at his ridiculous jokes, rereading the way he called me sweetheart, like it wasn't a mistake. And then came the night I really lost control. It was raining hard. Chicago streets slick and glowing under neon lights. I was hurrying home, hoodie pulled tight, when headlights slowed beside me. A sleek black car, window rolling down. "Get in. You'll get sick." Ethan's voice called. I hesitated, heart thudding. This was insane. But before I could think twice, I was sliding into the passenger seat, raindrops dripping from my sleeves. The car smelled faintly of leather and his cologne sharp. Expensive. Intoxicating. He glanced at me, hair slightly damp, jawline sharp even in the dim glow. "You should take better care of yourself," he murmured. "Can't have my boyfriend catching a cold." I should have argued, should have rolled my eyes and told him to stop. But instead, for the first time, I laughed. A real laugh. Low and nervous and completely unguarded. And Ethan, he looked at me like he'd just won a case he never expected to. That was the start of the undoing. I couldn't explain it. One day, he was just the lawyer who teased me endlessly. And the next, he was the man driving me home, buying me hot chocolate, showing up at the art store under the excuse of needing supplies for his niece. He didn't even have a niece. But it wasn't all playful. Sometimes I caught him watching me with an expression that wasn't mockery. Wasn't just humor, it was something heavier. Something like longing. And that scared me more than anything. Because deep down, I knew I wanted him too. The night everything came crashing down. We were in his apartment. Somehow he had convinced me to stop by, promising takeout and a movie. His place was as perfect as him, clean lines, warm lights, shelves full of books that looked untouched. We sat too close on the couch, knees brushing, my sketchpad on my lap. I'd been drawing without thinking, and when I looked down, I realized the lines had formed him. His sharp eyes, his smile. Ethan leaned closer, voice low. "That's me." I flushed. "It's not." But he took the sketchpad gently, tracing the lines with his fingers. Then he looked at me, eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. "You don't have to hide it, you know," he whispered. My chest tightened. "Hide what?" "That you feel it too." And before I could deny it, his hand brushed mine, tentative but certain, like he'd been waiting for this moment far too long. Ethan's hand lingered over mine, and for the first time in my life, I didn't pull away. The silence was louder than any storm outside, broken only by the sound of my uneven breathing. His eyes, usually sharp and filled with mischief, held something raw, something terrifying in its honesty. "I'm serious," he said, his voice almost a whisper. "I don't call you boyfriend just to mess with you. Not anymore." My throat tightened. I wanted to laugh it off, to roll my eyes like always, but the truth had been simmering inside me for weeks. Every teasing message, every brush of his hand, every ridiculous "good night, sweetheart" had carved a space in my chest I couldn't ignore. "I'm not someone you want," I muttered. "I'm messy. I don't have a plan. And you're you. A lawyer. A man who knows exactly what he's doing. Why waste time on me?" His expression softened, but there was a kind of stubborn fire in his gaze. "Because you're real. And do you want to know the truth? I've been surrounded by perfect, polished lies my whole damn life. But you sent me a photo by mistake. And suddenly I felt alive again." The confession hit me harder than any argument, harder than any late-night doubt. My chest ached, and before I could stop myself, I leaned in. Our lips met. The kiss wasn't fireworks. It wasn't cinematic perfection. It was clumsy, hesitant, tasting of takeout and nerves. But it was ours. And when Ethan pulled me closer, hand at the back of my neck, I realized it was exactly what I'd been afraid of. Falling. But love never runs smooth, does it? The fallout came faster than I imagined. A week later, photos surfaced online, and Ethan at the cafe, caught in a stolen glance. Someone whispered. Someone posted. And suddenly Ethan's name was tangled with mine in gossip blogs and whispers around town. He was furious. Not at me, but at the situation. His career was spotless, built on control and perception. And his messy boyfriend was the weak spot. One night, he showed up at my apartment, shoulders tense. "I stormy. We need to stop this," he said flatly. Felt like my heart was ripped from my chest. "Stop what?" Thesis. It's not worth risking everything I've worked for. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. I just stood there, trying to process the words, the sharpness of them cutting through every fragile hope I'd built. So I was just a joke after all. I whispered. His face twisted. Pained. No. God. No. But I didn't let him finish. I slammed the door. And for the first time, the silence that followed wasn't filled with longing. It was hollow. Days passed. Then weeks. I threw myself into sketching, into shifts at the store, into anything that wasn't thinking about Ethan. But he lingered like a shadow. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach flipped, only to collapse when it wasn't him. Until one night, weeks later, I found myself standing outside a courthouse. The city lights glared down, cold and unfeeling. And yet I waited. I don't know what I expected. Closure. A final glance. Ethan walked out, tired but still impossibly composed in his suit. And when his eyes found me, he froze. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then, slowly, he crossed the steps until he was standing in front of me. I tried. He said hoarsely. I tried to let you go, but it feels like cutting off my own lungs. I swallowed hard, my anger fighting with the ache in my chest. Then why did you? Because I was scared. Scared of losing everything. But what's the point of winning cases? Of building a perfect life, if I'm empty inside? His voice cracked, raw in a way I'd never heard. You're the only thing that makes me feel like myself. I hated him in that moment. Hated him for breaking me, for making me believe again. But I also loved him. God help me. I loved him. So I whispered. Then prove it. Prove it. He did. It wasn't grand gestures or headlines. It was small things, showing up at the art store just to walk me home. Sitting with me in silence while I sketched. His hand brushing mine like he needed the contact. Introducing me to his colleagues not as a friend, but as his partner. There was backlash. Of course. Whispers. Judgment. Raised eyebrows. But Ethan faced them all with the same confidence he wielded in court. And when he slipped his hand into mine, I realized something. He wasn't untouchable anymore. He was human. And he was mine. Months later, we sat in his apartment, the same couch, the same warm lights. Only this time, the air was steady, not fragile. My sketchpad lay open, a portrait of him smiling softer than he ever let the world see. You made me look gentle, he teased. Maybe that's how I see you, I said quietly. His hand cupped my face then, thumb brushing my cheek. You ruined me, you know. I laughed. How so? I was fine before. Untouchable, as you said. Now I can't imagine a life where I don't get to kiss you goodnight. And when he leaned in to prove it, I let myself believe for the first time that maybe love wasn't a mistake, or an accident, or a cruel cosmic joke. Maybe it was as simple, and as complicated, as sending the wrong photo to the right person. Because somehow, against all odds, that's exactly what I'd done. And it was the best mistake of my life. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.